Hello student, today I will explain you fragmentation. As you know, fragmentation is the task of dividing a table into a set of smaller tables. The subset of the table are called fragments. Now, there are three types of fragmentations. Number one, horizontal fragmentation. Number two, vertical fragmentation. Number three, which is a combination of horizontal and vertical, that is hybrid fragmentation. So fragmentation is divided into three parts. Now, fragmentations, as I told you, what is fragmentation? Partition a relation along its tuple so that each fragment has a subset of the tuple, the relations. Now, the horizontal fragmentation. A horizontal fragmentation partition a relation along its tuple. Thus, each fragment has a subset of the tuples of the relations. And again, horizontal fragmentation is divided into two parts. There are two versions of horizontal partitioning. Number one, primary horizontal fragmentation. Number two, derived horizontal fragmentation. The first one, primary horizontal fragmentation, it is a primary horizontal fragmentation of a relation is performed using predicates that are defined on that relations. And the second one, derived horizontal fragmentation, is the partitioning of a relation that result from predicates being defined on another relations. So again, it is divided into two parts, primary and derived. Now, the second is information requirements of horizontal fragmentations. Here we use database informations. The database information concerns the global conceptual schema. In this context, it is important to note how the database relations are connected to one another, especially with join. In the relational model, these relationships are also depicted as relation. However, in other models, such as an ER model, these relationships between database objects are depicted explicitly. So here, relation in the database and relationship between them, especially with join, one is owner, second is member. Here, from this figure, we show that project work on. Now, the application information. Both qualitative and quantitative information is required about applications. The qualitative information guides the fragmentation activities, whereas quantitative information incorporated primarily into the allocation model. Here the user query predicate examine most important application like this is the example simple P1 department CSE P2 sales greater than 3000 conjunctive में mean terms predicate if M1 equal to P1 and P2 equal to like this conjunctive it show mean term selectivity number of tuples returns against a given mean term, access frequency of a user queries. This all comes under application information. Now, predicate mean terms. Each though simple predicate are quite elegant to deal with. User queries quite often include more complicated predicates, which are Boolean combination of a simple predicates. One combination that are particularly interested in called mean term predicate is the conjunction of simple predicates, since it is always possible to transform a Boolean expression into conjunctive normal form. The use of mean term predicate in the design algorithm does not cause any loss of generality. Here completeness we use a set of simple predicate is said to be complete if there is an equal probability of access by every application to any tuple belonging to any mean-tail fragment that is defined according to the set. And if only application that access project want to access department, it's complete. Minimality. If the predicate influences how fragment is performed, there should be at least one application that accesses Fi and Fj differently. Now, as I told, horizontal fragmentation is again divided into primary and derived. Here from this figure we show primary fragmentations. A primary horizontal fragmentation is defined by selecting operation on the owner relation of a database schema. Each fragment Ri is a selection on a relation R using a predicate P. You can see how it is fragmented. Primary fragmentations. Original table it is divided into three parts: primary fragments, departments, three tables. It is divided in three tables. Now, the second example is derived fragmentation, horizontal fragmentations, and the existing primary fragment, which is here, original table is divided in three parts, and again existing primary fragments, and this is the original relations. A derived horizontal fragmentation is defined on in a member relation of a link according to a selection operation specified on its owner. So here it shows how it is derived from primary fragmentation. You can see from this table. Now the next one is vertical fragmentation. A vertical fragmentation of a relation R produces fragments R1, R2, rr, small r, each of which contain a subset of R's attribute as well as the primary keys of R. The objective of vertical fragmentation is to partition a relation into a set of smaller relations so that many of the user application will run on only one fragments. So here it produces vertical fragment produces fragment R1, R2, R3 of a relation R. Each fragment contains a subset of R attributes as well as primary key of R. The objective is to obtain fragments so that application only need to access fragments. Inherently more complicated than horizontal data fragment due to the total number of alternative availables. You can see from this table how vertical fragmentation is working. Now the information requirement for vertical fragmentations. The major information required for vertical information is related to applications. This measure is affinity of attribute, which indicate how closely related to attributes are. Unfortunately, it is not realistic to expect the designer or the user to be able to easily specify these values. Here we are using two terms, access frequencies, and second is affinity of attributes. This is the example of hybrid fragmentation. Each fragment Ri is a combination of selection using the predicate P1 and projection on relation R. So hybrid fragmentation is a combination of horizontal as well as vertical fragmentations. This is the example of hybrid fragmentations. I hope you all understand. Thank you for watching my video lectures. Thank you.